Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Coach Shinnick Show. This is head coach Pete Shinnick, football coach at the University of West Florida. I'm Will Kennedy, and we're back again, a playoff edition, and celebrating another victory. Coach, we'll get the suspense out of the way. Guys go on the road, get a big win at Delta State, 38-27, but not without a little bit of drama,
sure,
if you will.
Sure, we're in Cleveland, Mississippi, right? I mean, it's part of the process. It seems like the last couple times we've been there is to take that game a little bit down to the wire and find a way to play good football in spurts, but give up a lead at some point in time and then try to find our way back at it. But yeah, really proud of how our guys just handled really a lot of things that I thought were going against us there for a little bit. And then to come out on top at the end the way we did, pleased with our first half, but felt like, we could have relaxed a little more and just done a few things better, but extremely excited about our last half as well as a great fourth quarter.
11th win of the season, get a chance to avenge your only regular season loss, which is always good, but it was a dogfight. Let's dive into the highlights and take a look. It was a chilly, rainy day over in Cleveland and on the turf over there. And right from the get-go, your defense comes up right at the beginning, forces a fumble on the second play from scrimmage. You got the ball at the 21-yard line.
Yeah, huge turnover. I mean, great job stripping the ball with the quarterback mesh there and then to be able to come up with it. I mean, exactly how you'd love to start the game. Get the ball in their territory with an opportunity to get points on the board immediately.
The drive didn't go the way that you wanted it to. You get a couple yards on the first play, and then it kind of stalls out. But you guys got a pretty good kicker, and Griff Sarah steps in there and knocks it through. You're up 3-0 to get things going. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, that did. And really, that drive, I think we went for like 5 yards, 4 yards on the first play, and then we threw a fade, and they covered it pretty well. Came back and ran a quarterback draw, and they twisted. We're one block away, or Pee Wee probably scores, on that play. And then, as you say, Griff has been fantastic all year long, so trot him out there, confident we're going to get 3 points.
Your defense comes back out, stops them right around midfield. It's a 4th down and 2, and I think they felt like we've got to capitalize on Coach Cooley on every opportunity. They run a fake punt. It was a good one.
It was a great fake punt. Yeah, we really were a little bit out of position in that situation. Probably should have been in a little different formation than we were there. Gave them some momentum. Really, I think, looking at their attack of us, I mean, 2 long runs really gave them life. I think if we could obviously do something different there. That one, we had the sack earlier in that drive. I loved where we were at. We get them 4th and 4. We got to be a little more safer around the 50-yard line than what we lined up in. Give our guys an opportunity to defend that better.
Patrick Shagog caps that drive off. He's been so good all year long, scores a touchdown, makes it 7-3, and then your defense or your offense just kind of struggling a little bit there, kind of momentum. There's a lot of momentum swings in the game. They get the football back and they get another field goal, and all of a sudden you feel like, hey, we're really playing well, but we're down 10-3.
Right, and we went for it on 4th down there and felt like we had a couple things, and we missed a couple of balls that I thought we were very close to. So you go for it at the 35, kind of wondering, all right, what are we going to do? Where we're at? They take that drive, they get the field goal, and it's like, okay, we just got to find a little rhythm here. And I felt everything we did in the first half really kind of set up the second half because we saw this in our first game with them, having been down. We felt like if we could keep that defense out there, their offense plays fast. So these 2 games are the 2 most plays we've run in games because of how fast their offense plays. And we just felt like we could wear them down a little bit, keep getting first down. So even though the points didn't come in the first half, we felt like still having some extended drives, still getting first down, still moving the ball was adding to what we were going to end up to be able to do later in the game.
You did get a big play there in the first half, and it was Pee Wee over the top to David Durden. And, that quick strike offense, we've seen it pop up, and you feel like that's going to be it. It's a 52-yarder, and now things are rolling. It was a great play, though.
Fantastic throw. Great route by Dave. Dave does an amazing job anytime he's one-on-one, really puts a lot of pressure on any defensive secondary in the country. He's been able to find a way to get past it. And then Pee Wee threw, I thought, the perfect ball as Dave was just probably running as fast as he could to get that thing. That was huge. Tie it up. Now we're in pretty good position.
There was a big run, another one, and not necessarily who you thought coming in. They had to dig a little deeper into their running back group, but Alfonso gets loose and goes on a long run and leads to the second touchdown, another easy one for Shagog.
Yeah, no, very unfortunate with their long run, and and probably watching the highlight right now. I mean, we just missed tackles. We really did. We had him at the line of scrimmage, and I thought we were in good position, and then one bad angle, and all of a sudden sudden he's running down there. The thing that I love, though, is our defense didn't give up. And, we end up tracking it back. Ant Johnson Jr. Is running him, cutting him off, and then we get there. We don't allow that to be a long touchdown run. We made him work for that. So, that's the one positive of that one.
Before half, I know, you'd won the toss and you had an opportunity to get the ball coming out of the locker room. Just really couldn't get it going right before the half. But you go into the locker room, you're down 17-10, and kind of what's the message to the team at that point? You've had to do this a couple of times, and it feels like it is kind of like, hey, we've been here.
Yeah, right before the half, we hit a couple and we took the Hail Mary shot. We went one-on-one. We've done that a couple of different ways. I just went in at halftime and just said, look, we got to relax. I mean, it's a long game. We've been in these situations before. Just relax and play our ball. If people just do what their job is and just try to take it one play at a time, that's a coach's talk right there. But just really relax and play our best. And, I felt like a lot of things were going our way that weren't necessarily showing up out there. We had some holding penalties. We had some things that set us back, and it was just like, okay, if we can just get out of the way of, some of these mistakes, I think good things are going to happen in the second half. And, it didn't happen immediately because we ended up getting down, in the second half, but then it came.
Yeah, there was still plenty of meat on the bone, as they say. That's a Thanksgiving reference, right?
There you go.
And we're going to dive into the second half highlights. Argos were trailing, but still plenty of football to play. That's coming up next on the Coach Shinnick Show.
Real change occurs in that split second, a moment of connection among people.
With a common purpose,
a shared vision,
and a unified goal. What will you change?
What will change you? The University of West Florida. No limits.
Welcome back into the Coach Shinnick Show. Head Coach Pete Shinnick from UWF and Will Kennedy with you. Down at the half, and you've been there with Delta before, at least it wasn't 30 points, a huge deficit to make up. And you get the ball coming out of the locker room for the second half of this second round NCAA Division II playoff game. You go on a drive, and everything's looking really good, and just can't come up with points off of it, and that's got to be frustrating.
It is. Anytime you put that good a play, series together, and you move the ball and you get to where you want to. I felt like the wind affected Griff a little bit, and so I think he overkicked that. Typically, his balls are popping off that. Anytime he kind of sidewinds there a little bit and it goes off to the left, he pretty much overkicked. But, we were talking about it as a staff and, as an offensive staff, and Coach Sonnier brought this up. We didn't get points, but we started the process of wearing them down. And that drive really, I think, took some life out of them from a physical standpoint. They weren't subbing a lot of people, and we were just able to wear them down. I think our O-line, running backs, receivers were just doing a fantastic job. Didn't get points, but it was going to pay off at some point in time.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The running game starts to take impact, and where they were getting to Pee Wee in the first half a little bit with some pressure, all of a sudden that's kind of dissipating, and maybe that is what you said, being tired a little bit there. But they get the football back and go 77 yards, and so after you don't score, they score. Shagag runs another one in. But I really thought, you guys did a nice job of keeping the Offensive Player of the Year in the GSC kind of in check. Passing and running. He really didn't break out for the big plays.
Yeah, I really like what we did defensively, and obviously he scored, the 3 touchdowns short there. But I really like what we did, limited his vertical passing game, which is something that I think he does extremely well. I like what we did and how we were able to really stop them when we needed to and get the ball back in crucial times.
And all of a sudden, you're down 24-10, and the fourth quarter is beginning. You've got the football, and you're moving. This was a day where you needed some other guys to step up. David Durden got hurt on a play where he was trying to come back for a football. So, who's next off the bench? Larry Rembert's not in there. This drive kind of becomes Jacoby Quillen, and really he and Pee Wee hook up nicely. Yeah,
no, Jacoby came up huge and caught a couple of nice balls on the sideline, and then on the vertical coming out of a timeout, was able to hit him for the touchdown to make that work. So really love, we have guys that are waiting for their opportunity. He's been very patient. We saw him early. We saw him a little bit in the middle, and now here he is getting it done.
You cut into that lead 24-17. Defense gets the football back for you, and we've kind of been waiting for a while. And they were fantastic, by the way. Will Breland, Willie Jordan, your linebackers flying around both double-digit tackle type days, and turnovers were forced, and that was a good thing. You get the ball back, and we've kind of been talking for a couple weeks now. Shamari Mason just not right, obviously dealing with a little bit of injury and sickness and other things. kind of looked like he was back to his game here. So in the fourth quarter, on a drive that you need to have, to get this game tied up, he really shows his stuff, so to speak.
Yeah, no, very, very happy for Show. He's been extremely patient, and he's been incredibly humble in this process, and also just unselfish, because he hasn't made it about himself. And he sees 3K, jumping out, averaging 10 yards a carry. CJ jumping in, scoring touchdowns, and Show's just kind of waited patiently. We said at the end of last week he was probably looking as close to 100% as he was, and he just started taking it and churning out big chunks of yardage, what we're used to seeing. Now to come back and get in that where he's averaging 8-9 a pop and really explosive type plays, that drive that we needed to get that game tied up, he was crucial on it.
They get the football back, drive down. Your defense does a nice job of stopping, holding, and forcing a field goal. So you're down 3. You get the ball back with 4 minutes left, and it's a good position to be in with the offense playing pretty well in the fourth quarter.
Well, it felt great, and really, our defense first and goal, I think, at the 4, and to hold them to nothing. Great play. Ant Johnson forced him out. We had a couple nice tackles there by a lot of guys in that area, so that was huge. And then we got the ball back, and I just felt like we had earned this opportunity to go, all right, we're going to put some pressure on them, and we're going to make them stop us. And we kind of, came out in different type of formation sets and just said, hey, you got to find out which guy's going to get the ball and how we're going to do it, and march right down the field. Caden Leggett with a great catch. That was huge. Show running the ball again, 3K running the ball. It was just a great drive.
Yeah, right in the middle of the field, you got a big third down. You just referenced it. Caden Leggett, Pee Wee scrambling around. He comes back up the sideline, catches the football, fights his way upfield, and extends the ball to get a first down on a huge play.
Yeah, really. He jumped out. He got that ball probably 2 yards downfield by extending out. That was a great play. They gave us the first down. And now you're starting to look at the clock and go, okay, how many plays do we have? And how close can we get? And we had a timeout there, and we said, let's throw the fade and see what we can get, see if we can, score right here, get some yardage. We get the pass interference on Jacoby, and then it was like, okay, we're in control of the clock now because we're scoring somehow, some way on this drive.
Yeah, once you're in field goal range, takes a little bit of the pressure off as far as doing it. And Show takes it down. Great run that gets you down near the goal line. I know he would have loved to have punched it in and kind of redeem himself from the regular season. Ends up being C.J. Wilson, and that's what a wonderful feeling. 30 seconds left. There's still a little time, but you're in the lead now. And the big extra point,
huge.
Don't overlook the extra point. All of a sudden you're up by 4 with 30 seconds left.
That was huge. And, Show got the first opportunity. We're down at the 1. We gave him the first opportunity, and then it was like, okay, so this is how they're going to do this. They're going to box this thing in. We're going to put CJ in. And CJ really, play was designed to go off tackle. CJ just looked up. There was no one outside, and he said, Coach, I can beat everybody to the sideline. I'm going, and really went untouched. 30 seconds to go. That's huge. Up 4. And then, probably the play that gets overlooked, after that is Caden Williams.
He was pumped. He was pumped on that kick. Yeah.
Out of, the end zone there. So now they're at the 25, and we're in great shape.
And they have a dangerous return man. We saw him in the regular season. He had a couple nice returns in this game, too. Tyler Kennedy, number 11. So you don't give him that ability to hurt you with the return. They come out, and obviously the pressure's on. They've got 30 seconds, and deep passing hasn't really been their game all year. And Anthony Johnson Jr., who, up and down at times, but, corner's got to have a short memory, and he jumped a route and takes it to the house. We saw it at North Greenville last year. What a fantastic moment, and you could just feel your sideline rise, and everybody that made the trip to Cleveland was feeling good.
I hugged more people in that 30-second time frame than I have in a long time. That was awesome. It's interesting because I was reading the play-by-play afterwards. I didn't realize, he intercepted at the 39-yard line. I thought it was like a 5-yard out.
Oh, no.
Because it was, it just happened so quick while I was watching it, and I was like, oh my gosh, he threw it 15 yards downfield, and Ant played it perfectly. Really happy for him. That's a huge play, change, obviously everything. Now game over. Now it's just how do we get to the end of this? And we got to kick off again. And they're like, okay, well, what do we got to do? They got to bring it out, and we had tremendous coverage on that and got it down, and then game over.
Yeah, 38-27 the final. Argos advance 11-2. Not this season. That's your all-time playoff record here at the University of West Florida. That's saying something. Another road win. I believe 9-0. on the
Something
road.
like
You
that.
haven't
Yeah,
lost in
something
a
like
true
that.
road game. Won't have that opportunity to test that out next week because the Argos are going to be right here at home coming up in the regional final for Super Region 2. We'll preview that game. It's a familiar. It's
Yeah.
going to come down and
Playoff
actually pay
opponent.
us a visit a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the matchup with Wingate. That's coming up later here on the program on the Coach Shinnick Show.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Welcome back into the Coach Shinnick Show. We've shifted our attention here to the field house on the campus of the University of West Florida. Talk a little men's and women's basketball. Those are our winter sports. Both are underway and both are right into conference play. We had a chance to sit down after a little bit of a road swing through Mississippi with men's basketball coach Jeff Burkhammer. Coach, busy time of the year. You guys get a little road trip out there, and there's always going to be something that pops up and have to play a game in a different arena, which kind of sets a weird tone.
Yeah, it was strange. And one of the first times that's happened to me in almost 40 years of coaching, I think, where we had to change venues. You'd think in indoor sport you wouldn't get rained out, but we did. We were just getting ready to leave the hotel to go over and watch the girls play, and they call us and say we got a leak in the ceiling, and we got to change venues. So you got to make that adjustment, and sometimes that's hard to do. But we did go play the game at Belhaven, and guys did have to make a quick adjustment to play.
You get the first conference win in the back half of the road trip there, and obviously those are the important ones, and you got to find a way to kind of get that kick started. And oftentimes it can be one game that can make a difference, and hopefully this is the one.
Yeah, and we're probably one game away from where I thought we might be at this point. The shorter game haunts us a little bit. We could have played better in that game. But Mississippi College got a much better team than they've had. I thought they played really well physically, bothered us in the first half. Did think we really competed well in the second half. And then we took that second half and moved it to the Delta game and played really two pretty good halves on the road in a place that we've struggled to win. It's a hard place to win, and to go in there and get a W really should give our guys a little bit of confidence going into next week.
The schedule gets a little difficult here where you don't play maybe in the regular rhythm that you're used to playing during other parts of the season. How difficult is that to navigate?
Yeah, it's a little bit different just because this week we don't play for 7 or 8 days because West Georgia is the lone wolf in the league, so their schedule a little bit different than everybody else's. They do play Thursday with Valdosta and then have us on Sunday, so that's a little bit different. And then you get into finals week and all those things. So, yeah, things change, and you just got to make the adjustment, get through what you're supposed to get through, and prepare the best you can.
You're looking, I know every time you go out there for progress, whether it's as a team or from individual players, what are you seeing that you do like from different guys right now?
Well, we keep changing our lineup, trying to figure out what's the best lineup. And actually at Delta, we finally had the lineup we thought we would start at the beginning of the year. They've worked their way into those spots. Jared Dehart has played much better. I think he's kind of figured out how to play. We've taken Latrell off the ball and moved him back to a scoring guard spot. He had 22 and 20 in the 2 games playing as off guard. Sofield continues to be very aggressive and play well. And then we brought David Pettit-Home back in at the 4 spot. He has rebounded the ball well, something we needed out of that position, and he's come back and played better after sitting him down for a couple games. Wendell continues to be solid. And now we got Weatherspoon coming off the bench, and Juwan gives us energy and gives us rebounding and plays hard. Then we got a couple other guys. We just need to get them to play better and fit in and know what we're doing. And we can get 2 or 3 more guys fitting in and playing well. It really helps our team.
You jumped right into the conference schedules we talked about earlier, but that's a little bit of a learning curve for new guys because the GSC is physical in all kinds of ways.
Well, I think that was a shock to some of them of how physical the league is and how hard teams compete, how prepared you have to be every night to play for 40 minutes. And we've had some games where we played really well for a half and not played well for another half. And to put together 40 minutes is so important in league play. And hopefully we're getting to that point now where we're going to be a little bit more consistent.
The men only do have that one game this week. That'll be on the weekend up on the road in Carrollton, Georgia, taking on those West Georgia Wolves. Coming up here next on the program, we'll spend a little time with Stephanie Lawrence Yelton to talk women's basketball on the Coach Shinnick Show.
I need to try it first.
Groundbreaking orthopedic care is more than top-rated quality scores, more than leading-edge treatment options. More than world-class care close to home. It's all that and more. Andrews Institute. Groundbreaking care.
Welcome back into the program. Time to talk a little women's hoop. Coach Stephanie Lawrence-Yelton is with us now. And Coach, early in the season, it's always a little bit strange. Last time we talked, you're diving right into conference play, and they come fast and furious. And then you get the holiday thrown in, and things get a little bit weird. You guys made a Mississippi road trip, and speaking of strange, first stop they go to Mississippi College, and we heard from Coach Burkhammer earlier, you had to move to another location, but you were on the floor ready to go, and then all of a sudden, rain's in the building.
Yeah, we're walking out 8 minutes before tip-off, and there's a huddle around a puddle of towels trying to make a decision of, is this playing surface safe to play in? And obviously it wasn't. We wouldn't have put our players in that situation to play on a wet surface. So things changed. I don't think as a team we handled it well. I thought we were more kind of in tune and had the mindset of kind of what were the things going wrong versus really focusing and getting ourselves ready to play. And I think that was what you saw in the outcome of the game.
It was a tough game. So that first one is Mississippi College, and then you knew you were going to play Delta, 2 nights later. And it was back and forth and to the wire. I know free throw shooting is one of those areas that you sit down as a coach after the game and you look and you say, if we just made a couple more.
Yeah, that Mississippi College game, we dropped it by 4 points. We were in the game for the most part, the whole game. I thought Jacqueline Durnett had an amazing night. She scored 26. She had over half of our scoring that night. We just needed other players to kind of help be that support staff around her. But you're right. We missed some key free throws down the stretch that could have shrunk that lead from 2 to 0 for them and really put ourselves in a position to win the game, and we just didn't do it.
Now, game conditions are a different thing. So you make that trip from the Jackson area up to Delta, and you got to turn around and play a Delta State team, which traditionally has a really good program. And, on a Monday night, right after Thanksgiving, with the last couple weeks of the semester on the line, and we've talked about that throughout this program, your student athletes on your team, they're dealing with, I got stuff due, I got finals coming up. There's a lot on their mind. They go out and play really well against Delta.
Yeah, and through that Thanksgiving holiday, many, are missing family. They're not, involved in their regular family traditions at Thanksgiving. You talk about exams coming up. You talk about being on the road. But then our football team does a great job of beating Delta State on Saturday. Well, we show up into town on Sunday, and we're getting jeers and boos as we're walking into restaurants. And so, again, a different environment to step in Cleveland, Mississippi, when your football team takes care of business and now your basketball teams roll into town.
What was working in the Delta game? You talked about Jack, potentially could have been the player of the week. So she had 2 really good games. And some nights, you get all the pieces that you need to come together.
Yeah, our focus in the Delta State game was to focus on our individual play. Don't worry about the outside circumstances. Don't worry about what other teammates are doing. Worry about your preparation, your game attitude, what you bring to the table. And I thought our team did an exceptional job. And so from the jump ball, we were dominating that game early and really played well throughout the game.
Now we move from Thanksgiving into the end of the semester and on into the Christmas season. But you guys have 2 games this week. So you get Columbus State, which is always tough, and then West Georgia. So that Georgia swing back up to your home state, your neck of the woods there. What do you need to do this week to really kind of get that momentum rolling and get consistency and picking up win after win?
Yeah, having these games at the end of this week is really tough. When you get home at 3 a.m., on Monday night. Yesterday we had a day off with the players, but it really wasn't a day off. They had to get a lot of schoolwork done yesterday. And now we've got the kind of cold rolling through the team too. So it's that time of year. So really we're balancing illness, fatigue, the stress of schoolwork, staying on top of things, and then rolling into really 2 very competitive games. So we've got to be conscious of how we're preparing, what we're preparing with, and then being really sensitive about where our players are mentally and physically during this time.
Coach, good luck on that Georgia road trip, and we'll talk with Coach Yelton again next week. Coming up here on the program, we will preview the football playoff matchup coming up your way this Saturday as Wingate comes down to face the Argos. That's next on the Coach Shinnick Show.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Welcome back in for our final segment of the Coach Shinnick Show. This is where we break down the next game, and it's always fun to do it this time of year because it will be third round, or really more appropriately, it's the regional final, Super Region 2, and it's going to be a team out of the SAC again. This time it's Wingate. We've gone on the road there and played them twice. Now they get to come to Pensacola and see Penn Airfield behind us. 1 o'clock kick coming up on Saturday. This is a team, obviously you know the program well. You know them from your time in Pembroke as well. They have an outstanding defense. They're probably a little different than maybe what we saw a couple years ago. That was a rain game. Last time we saw them, it was a little different. But the numbers pop off the page. They don't give up much in the way of points.
No, not at all. I think they're top 2 or 3 in defense scoring. I think they're top 2 or 3 in total yards. I've never seen 3 defensive linemen each have 10 or more sacks. I think 2 of them have 11, 1 of them has 13. I mean, they are getting after the quarterback. They're giving up 60 yards rushing a game, just playing at an extremely high level. When you watch them on film, very impressive with just how they fly to the ball, the way they attack it. So this will be a tremendous challenge for us offensively because it's just the most people we've seen around the football, once the ball snapped. They do a great job of rallying and tackling. Again, I think they lead the nation in sacks, tackles for losses, pretty much everything that you can imagine on defense. They're in the tops in the country statistically.
60 sacks, that jumped out at me, and you mentioned, spread around a couple different players, some difference makers up front.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a great offensive line, though. Those numbers will hold up. Well, that's going to be a great battle between those two units, and the experience level of your line, I think, will speak in this game.
Yeah, I love our O-line, love how they're playing. They're going to have to be fantastic. Our 2 tackles are just going to have to, take these DNs who are, about 6'1", 245 pounds, extremely athletic, fly upfield, create a lot of problems. Our tackles are going to have to be great. And their linebackers, one has 80 tackles, one has 90 tackles. Just bigger guys than we've seen. So, again, extremely impressed with what they do defensively. And then I think what they've done very, very well, we talk about field position a lot. Their punters averaging 45 yards, a kick. And then their kickoff guy, I would say probably 2 out of 3 are in the end zone. So they're always doing a great job with field position. You turn on every game and you're either seeing sacks or turnovers, interceptions for touchdown. it's amazing just what they're doing and how they're winning the field position battle and how they're putting really their offense, which is good, putting them in great positions to score points.
Shaw Crocker, their quarterback, he's thrown for about 2,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, and then they've got rotation at running back and receiver. Nobody kind of jumps out statistically there. Defensively, what do you need to do to kind of hold them in check?
Yeah, we saw, we studied kind of Wingate's offense when we were getting ready for Limestone, and so I feel like, need to limit what they do. And, they have traditionally liked to run the ball and play action. Their head coach has been very, very good over the years. I think we've played him since 2006 when I was at UNC Pembroke, so known him for 15, 16 years. Does a great job with his quarterbacks. We got to be able to take away some of their reads. He's running a little more than he has his quarterbacks in the past. So kind of a dual threat in that. Not gonna run option and stuff like that, but do a good job with the quarterback draw. Do a good job with some other read game with the quarterback. So we're just gonna have to be on point defensively to take them out of what they want to be. And I think they want to be an extremely balanced football team. We got to make them one-sided and see if we can go from there.
They come in, the Bulldogs do, with 2 losses, notable wins. They beat Fayetteville State, who was in the playoffs. They beat Limestone, who we played, and Lenore Ryan got a nice win over them as well. Lost to Emory and Henry. That's a team, not 2 different people. And then Newberry, familiar. So
which we know well.
Yeah, they're a good football team, and they'll be here 1 o'clock on Saturday. Fantastic Penn Airfield again. Hopefully the weather is nice, and we'll let them experience some Florida as opposed to North Carolina there. Tickets are already on sale, so pick those up through GoArgos.com. Tailgating starts at 9. Early in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Get
on
after
a Saturday. It's Championship Saturday, too, around college football, so why not? Let's have a regional one right here. First time ever in Pensacola, Florida. Coach and I'll be back with you next week. And, of course, GoArgos.com. Get all the latest on all of our UWF athletics. Basketball going on as well right now, and the Argo Armada app will keep you updated. We would like to pack Penn Airfield on Saturday. Have as big a crowd as possible. 5,500 or so was our number back for homecoming. Let's see if we can break that.
No, let's get everybody out. It'll be a great game, great weather, like you say. It should be a blast. We need people in the stands.
It is playoff football, Argos style on Saturday. And we'll see you next week right here on the Coach Shinnick Show.